Hello and welcome to India Career Center, the one-stop podcast for students, professionals, parents and guardians. In every episode, we will try to deal with a current topic that needs expert advice related to career guidance and career mentoring. Please welcome your host, Dr. S.B. Mishra to the show. And happy listening.
Hello and welcome to another episode on India Career Center. Today, I am delighted to host Julien Martinson on the show. Julien has been on our show a couple of times earlier this year, and in both the occasions, we spent most of the episode talking about the aviation industry because Julien himself comes with a lot of experience from the aviation industry. In fact, he himself is an aviation coach. So the first episode was dedicated to learn more about the aviation industry, which we did in the first episode. Then the second episode, we spoke more about the IATA report, which came about some time back earlier this year. We tried to analyze the report to give a sense to our audience about the opportunities in the aviation industry. And today, I'm happy to welcome again Julien to the show. Today, we're going to talk about his latest venture into book writing. Of course, this is his second book. He has earlier written another book, which we spoke about in the first episode as well. So today, our focus is to talk about his new book and to know that I was trying to prepare for this episode and searched on the internet about Julien's TED Talk, which happened exactly 1 year back in Zimbabwe. And the topic of that episode or the TED Talk was exactly what has been the title of his book. So that's very interesting. So, Julien, it's great to have you back again on the show and welcome once again to India Career Center podcast.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest on your podcast. And I'm always excited to talk about airplanes and the impact that this has had on people.
Fantastic. So, Julien, to start our conversation, first of all, take us through your experience about the TED Talk which you did in Zimbabwe exactly 1 year back. How it happened and what was the impact of that on your writing of this book?
Well, the whole objective of doing a TED Talk is to share a message that passions you, that a whole bunch of people need to know. And this is exactly the essence of the book. And I thought, I have to share this message with everybody. And so I did a TED Talk. And interestingly enough, the TED Talk reached more than 55,000 views. And so that is a cataclysmic number. A lot of people saw my TED Talk. And because of that high number, I was inspired to write a book about the TED Talk. And so it's in the same series and format as my other books. And I think that this book will appeal to a larger audience because it's about striving for excellence, and it takes in some role models of the aviation industry, and then it walks you through to what happens when you don't strive for excellence, and what is the course of action that people can take in order to correct themselves if they realize that, oh, I've missed my goal or I've missed my challenge, and how do I can fix this problem now? So it's a little bit about aviation. There's a little bit about SMS in the book, safety management systems, and the last four chapters are more about psychology. So it's an interesting mix of three disciplines in one book. The psychology part is about building a support system, and setting a course correct action. So when you don't achieve your goals and so forth. So that part, it falls into the domain of psychology.
Okay, so you broadly spoke about the various contours of this book. So can you walk us through the core message of this book? When you say, what does killing mediocrity mean to you, and how can readers apply this concept to their own lives and careers?
So this is a very good question. So, striving for excellence is something that is timeless. It never goes out of fashion. It's always a good thing, and um, and more in no other industry is that more important than in the aviation industry because people's lives are at risk, and it doesn't matter what your role is within aviation. If you're a pilot or a customer service agent, or you're on a line worker in the assembly for aircraft manufacturing, attention to detail and striving for excellence should be our mantra. Doesn't matter which job that you're in. And you can also take it another step further and apply it to your personal life. Um, for an example, your fitness levels or your academic goals, or even a housewife can strive for excellence in providing a well-balanced environment to raise children in a healthy environment. And so it could be applied to many different roles. And so we use examples in the aviation industry of female pilots who have um, accomplished great things, but we also look at um, architecture. For an example, the Sydney Opera House, or the Great Wall of China, or even the Eiffel Tower are great monuments in history from an architectural standpoint, um, that inspire us today on how did these people accomplish this. And the other way that you can also look at excellence or find role models of excellence are people in a teamwork. So it's one thing to try achieve excellence as an individual. For an example, you land on the moon. Okay, so now you've achieved excellence because you've set out your goals and you put your first step on the moon. But not everybody has that opportunity. Some people will strive for excellence and perform better in a team environment. And so, how does this play out in aviation? Well, for an example, as airport planners, um, it's a team effort of multiple committees that will do research in order to build that um, master airport plan. And so it's a plan that takes 3 years to bring together, and then it takes 5 years to execute it. And you've got multiple people on that team, including the finance committee and environmental committee. How does it affect retailers? What are the demographic needs and socio-economic development of the community? So the master airport plan is not just a whimsical plan. It's a very detailed, well thought out plan put together by multiple teams. And so you can even inspire yourself by excellence done or excellence achieved by a group of people. And so there are plenty of opportunities or examples within the aviation industry and outside of where you can um, inspire yourself of excellence. So there's no shortage there. But then the question is, what happens when you don't achieve excellence? And so I go back to an accident that was noted in the aviation industry that hit me hard personally, where an airline leaked fuel over the Atlantic Ocean. And there are several steps that um, were omitted in that process that caused those fuel couplings to dislodge. And so when you analyze that through the eye of safety management systems, then you can look at that and say, well, the mechanic didn't install the correct fuel valve, and the the two pilots in question, while they're amazing pilots, um, they failed to um, realize um, they didn't believe their instruments, and so that was really a flaw in their analysis. They didn't believe that the tanks were empty until they were both completely empty, and then they realized, okay, so now we're in a big problem. And so in aviation, when there is an accident, they have a whole list of a process to find out the root cause of that problem and what went wrong. And so in the same way, you could apply a similar type of analysis to your own situation and say, well, if I did not achieve my academic results, what is the core uh, problem? Can I identify the core issue? So is it a lack of motivation? Is it time management? Or is it a lack of attention to your homework assignments? Maybe it's a combination of all those three things. And then once you find the root cause why you weren't able to achieve that goal, then you can course correct it. And you can apply that scenario or that reasoning to any type of um, um, area. And then finally, the last part of the book, the last four chapters are about the psychology. So it's not to overlook the importance of having a strong support system. So you do need a team of people that support you and encourage you to achieve your goals. You need accountability. And so that could be a parent or a counselor or or a family member or a group of friends that are supporting you to achieve your goals. So that is also very important and not to be overlooked. And then there are other things that we look at in psychology. For example, uh, if you miss your goals, um, don't beat yourself up too much, because sometimes that happens where you get too discouraged and then the failure compounds and you're not able to rise above and achieve your goals. So there's a few things in the book, few strategies in psychology supported by psychologists. So it's not just my own thoughts, but I support my thoughts with what famous psychologists have said to support those types of strategies. And then finally, we have a good conclusion on how to achieve excellence. And so it's by not achieving excellence that therefore you settle for mediocrity. And that status or that condition of mediocrity is then killing your superpower to achieve excellence and just rise above and shine in your life. And so this is the essence of the book. So it's a real powerful message. And the message is good for young people and old people, as well as managers, as well as people from the front line, as well as professionals, as well as people in your personal life. So it can fit the entire spectrum. And as I said, excellence never goes out of fashion. It's always something that you can achieve and strive for. It doesn't matter what time of day or what year it is. So this is the essence of the book and how we go from the front cover all the way to the back cover.
Fantastic. That was quite elaborate. So in the book, you deal very deeply about the strong role of female models in the aviation industry, and their importance of resilience, growth through setbacks. So what inspired this focus, and how do you illustrate these through your message?
Well, it all started with the TED Talk.
Mm-hmm.
The theme of the TED Talk was women evolving essence. So the whole seminar was about female issues, and some decided to tackle that from different angles. However, I decided to um, bring females as role models, and there's an entire chapter dedicated to female um, role models in aviation. So it's a strong chapter, and we talk about um, Ethan Ilhart and a few other pilots that were instrumental in the evolution of aviation history. And they took on different roles as pilots and stunt pilots and air traffic controllers. And not to mention, not to overlook Catherine Wright, who supported the Wright brothers in developing their aircraft, and she supported them in um, financially and emotionally. So it's not just emotional support, but also financial support. And so it was those female role models in history that today can inspire the young girls to pursue their careers and their dream careers in aviation. But not to overlook the current role models who are currently in the aviation industry today that are leaders as CEOs, for example, or leaders in as pilots or other role models um, today. So it's not just only in history, but also today. There are plenty of female role models that it can inspire a lot of young girls and women to take on aviation roles that are non-conventional, that are typically male dominated, such as the pilot role. Um, 94% of pilots are male and around 6% are female. And as more males are going to be approaching retirement, the real question is the industry recruiting enough boys to fill in those gaps? And the answer is that it may not necessarily be so. Um, and so the industry is recruiting females to take on pilot roles. And this can be not more clear than the aviation industry, who does female Women's Day in Aviation, where they'll dedicate an entire flight and all operated by females, female pilots, female flight attendants, female ramp crew, everybody that operates and touches on that flight, they would be all female. And it's to underline the strength and power and the significant contribution that females have made to our industry and not to be overlooked. There are many recruiting centers that attract only females as pilots, and they try to expose these young girls to pilot concepts. And so the challenge is that traditionally, pilot role is part of the STEM occupations. That means science, technology, engineering, and math. And quite frankly, both a girl and a boy can find math and STEM related careers very interesting. Um, so if your daughter is, mathematically inclined, um, maybe they can consider to become a pilot or an air traffic controller or a pilot instructor or those types of careers that are very fascinating and uh, and bring a lot of opportunities to young girls.
Okay, the second part was I remember you mentioned that you were working on your thesis about pilot studies. So
Yes, this is correct.
what? Yeah. So what has been the outcome so far, and have you
Well,
published it?
so from my thesis, we studied the global pilot supply and demand, and as in Canada, um, we're um, we're facing some pilot challenges. But interestingly, other regions of the world, sorry, um, have a growing demand for pilots. And so it's very easy for some countries just to um, change the work-life balance or give a little bit of extra perks to attract that skill set to their own airline. And therefore, pilots from North America or Europe may go to Asia or to the Middle East and find employment simply because of a monetary compensation or the work-life balance or a better schedule that pilots desire that they're not able to get at home. And so this would lead to um, a workforce shortage. And when you have a workforce shortage, and then you have a problem because you cannot deliver the flights. And so there are airlines in Canada that had to cancel their flights because of a lack of manpower, um, specifically pilots. And they just said, we don't have the pilots to fly the airplanes, and without them, we cannot go. So we're canceling all these routes. And as the industry continues to grow and um, and the senior pilots um, go more into retirement, it's going to create a bigger and bigger gap. And so this creates an opportunity to develop a greater skill set. But then the question is, how are you going to attract young people to this industry? And what are they looking for? Are they looking for monetary compensation, recognition, work-life balance? And how does a pilot career, how does that compare to other careers? So if parents are going to spend $80,000 to educate their child. Um, Pilot is a very good career, um, but you're away from home. You may have to relocate. Um, you may have to work night schedules, whereas other occupations like doctor or lawyer are more office jobs. And so you have a work-life balance that is much different than that of a pilot. And so those are lifestyle choices that one really has to take into strong consideration because otherwise you might be disappointed. And so the aviation industry does have to overcome those challenges um, by correctly marketing and attracting people to that career because people have many other career options available to them. And so the thesis went on to study how to recruit young people. What are they looking for? And what are the challenges of bringing them into the workforce? And so, because of that study, I'm able to now write a series of books on aviation careers that are specifically targeted the Gen Z, which is young adults aged 12 to 28 that are entering the workforce. And so this is a series of books that I'm creating for aircraft engineering, the future trends of aviation, as well as supersonic and outer space careers and those related careers. And those are very fascinating careers. And I really like writing my books. Um, if you want to have a career that literally that where you can fly to the moon, then the aviation industry will not disappoint. Indeed, you can do that. Whereas other industries like cosmetics and the beauty industry or culinary arts or architecture or aquamarine studies, they are very noble in their own right and have achieved a lot of things in their own right, um, but they won't take you to the moon.
Yeah, probably you can buy a ticket to the moon.
Exactly, you know, so it's for those people that really like speed, um, then supersonic is the way to go. Yeah, we can talk about Mach 1, Mach 4, Mach 8, um, and that is very fast because it's faster than the speed of sound. And so, if you want a career that that goes at those types of speeds, um, aviation and aerospace will not disappoint. There's plenty of opportunities in those areas. I'm really passionate about what I'm doing, and I want to deliver and inspire the young people to pursue their dreams while at the meantime meeting the expectations of the industry in terms of recruitment and succession planning. And so it requires a new generation to come in. But the new generation, they think very differently than the boomer generation. Their approach to work and their mindset is much, much different. And so I bring that out in my books in a subtle way.
Okay, that's excellent. So there are a lot of inspiring stuff to catch up. We'll take a short break, Julian, and come back in the next other side. Stay back.
Thank you.
Okay, Julian, welcome back and welcome back to all the viewers and listeners. Julian, you were talking about writing a series of books about the aviation industry from your thesis. Now, the primary objective of your thesis was to find out what to do about the shortage of pilots, especially in the North American market and Canada. So, what has been your top three, four suggestions or recommendations from this thesis?
Um, the outcome was I'm not the only one that identifies that there's a workforce shortage in the aviation industry, particularly in the pilot cohort. Um, Other leaders of workforce planning within the aviation industry within Canada have also identified um, the same problem, and they have identified certain courses of action to take in order to mitigate this problem. And some of them had strategies that were the same, and some came up with strategies that were slightly different. But it's a multiple step process in order to um, combat the pending pilot shortage. So one is recruiting a new generation, and other things also include adapting the training and the workplace design that facilitate the retention of Gen Z. So Gen Z, they are very technically advanced, so provide them that technology that they're used to, that the older generation may prefer to refer to a book, whereas the Gen Z may prefer to watch a video to learn what the steps are to solve a particular problem as a reference tool. However, we should also not overlook work-life balance. Uh, the boomers, they worked so that they can live, but the Gen Z, they do the opposite. They value their life and their personal life, and their work is part of it, and they want their work to be inspirational. And so the burden lies on the employer in order to define and create meaning for the tasks that the Gen Z is doing. So they want to feel fulfillment and that they're accomplishing and making a significant contribution to the workforce and to the work process. And so it requires uh, a motivation and explaining how these tasks is part of a bigger picture rather than just assigning a task. And so the way you interact with this generation is a little bit different, and so the industry, employees will have to adapt to the new workforce coming in, and change their strategies on how they um, attract, train, and retain the new generation. And if not, sadly, the Gen Z, they can quickly lose their focus and say, well, this is not a company for me. I'm going to go work um, south of the border, or I'm going to work in Asia or in the Middle East, where I can obtain the satisfaction from the work that I do. And not that the work is not satisfactory in Canada, it's just the way the employer presents the tasks and provides relevance and meaning to the Gen Z generation. And so it often has to do with the approach. Um, and so this is going to be a big game changer as this new generation takes on bigger and bigger roles. The employees will have to adapt.
Fantastic. A lot of psychology included into this message, I think. Yeah, that's very nice. So coming back again to the book, in the book you talk about the importance of excellence, and you mentioned that you emphasize that excellence is basically a gradual commitment to improvement. And I remember you mentioned that during your TED talk also. So can you elaborate on this through an example from the book or from your life?
So, striving for excellence, it's not a one-time achievement. It's the gradual achievement of always striving to do better. And this is what Pat Riley said. Um, Excellence is the journey of always striving to do better. So it's a commitment to goals, but it's a commitment to goals over a long period of time, and therefore you achieve excellence. It's always the desire to always keep improving your tasks, your performance, or your standards. And nowhere is this more true than in the aviation industry, because people's lives are at risk. And as soon as those wheels take off and lift off from the ground, um, that risk is then really apparent, and a lot of things could go wrong. Um, and people's lives are at risk, as well as the crew, as well as the investment in in the equipment, that being the aircraft. And so you don't want things to go sideways, from customer service to sales and marketing to manufacturing, to the in-flight, to uniform design, and even to the luggage handling, that people just continue to stay focused and strive for excellence in whatever they're doing. And I know that they're already very committed to doing an excellent job in so many areas. But this is just a slight reminder and inspired to inspire from the other role models within the aviation industry, which um, is always a good reminder, just to be committed to whatever task that you're doing, to always do it with excellence in mind. And then finally, there's a nice little wrap up. The book is available on Amazon, and it's available in e-copy, as well as soft copy versions. And we'll soon have it available on other platforms as well.
Okay, right now the print version is available or no?
Yes, that's correct. It's a soft
Okay,
cover
soft
like
cover.
this,
Okay,
soft
okay.
cover copy like this,
Right,
as well as the digital copy.
right. Okay. So, for your promotion of the book, are you planning for some events, some signing events where
Oh
readers
yes,
can
I'm
actually
planning.
come?
Yes, I'm planning a book signing event at a local aviation store. The date has not been set yet, but I'm waiting for a couple of more books to come out, and then I'll have a book signing event for all my three books. And people locally can reach out to me at that event. However, if you want a signed copy of the book, don't hesitate to reach out to me and send me an email at info@julienmartinson.com, info@julienmartinson.com, and I will happily sign a book for you and put it in the mail.
That's fantastic. So what's the next book which is coming, Julien?
The next book is, just hold that thought sec.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm working on this book, and it's called
Mm-hmm.
Aircraft Manufacturing Trends and
Mm-hmm.
Their Career Paths. So it's about aircraft manufacturing, and this one is going to be illustrated for a Canadian market with the Canadian flag, although it's not illustrated on here. And I'm going to be doing one with a US flag and a European flag. And so it walks readers through the trends in aviation and which companies are in your region are exemplifying those trends and where you can study. And so the trends are the same whether you're in Canada or the United States or in Europe. However, the companies that are working in those trends, for an example, vertical takeoff, and the companies that are actually building those mechanical parts are very different. And the schools, that being the colleges and universities that you study to be able to get those jobs, are also very different. And so I've decided to separate the book into those three regions of the world so that readers can read what the trends are, but then right away connect the dots to where you need to study. And I really think that the markets are very different because if you're in Canada, you just want to know where you can study in Canada without being interfered with US schools because that would it's too complicated. And at the same note, I want to give an opportunity for the United States to also be represented in their own right, as well as the European market to be also presented as represented in their own right. And for our international readers, if they're interested in aircraft manufacturing careers, eventually they could actually choose the book based on their preferred study destination or country, or their preferred where their passport will allow them to navigate. And so the book will be divided into three regions. So don't forget to look for the little flag on the front of the book cover.
Very good idea. I think fantastic. I think this will need us to again invite you for 3 more episodes in the future to
Yes, and
talk
this is
about.
correct. And it's always an honor to be speaking with you about the career paths. And as you well know, India is on the cusp of um, a large aviation boom over the next 5 to 10 years. And so a lot of people in India will be considering careers in the aviation industry. Um, and they may even consider to study abroad. Um, Although I just welcome them wholeheartedly to Canada, they may prefer to study in Europe or the United States. And whichever your destination, there's a book available that will just guide you directly to give you all the resources and all the information that is specific to that region. Keeping in mind that the trends are the same. It's just that the names of the companies and the names of the schools that are teaching that curriculum are slightly different.
Excellent idea, Julian. I love the idea, and I love the idea of segregating the information correctly so that the aspirants can actually get the right kind of guidance from the book.
Mm.
So I'm eagerly looking forward to this to learn about this so that I can guide my students who are aspiring to pursue their careers in the aviation industry. So that's very nice, very good development, and wishing you a lot of success in your next
Thank you very
books.
much. I really appreciate it, and it was a pleasure to be on your invited as a guest on your show for the third time. So it's truly a pleasure for me to talk about what passions me the most is airplanes, and more importantly, the people that work in this industry.
Fantastic. Excellent. Julian, so look forward to another engaging episode next time when your new books about aircraft manufacturing comes about.
Yeah.
I think the aviation industry obviously is also looking very, very strong with respect to all those the outer space travels which are being planned by so many different companies.
Mm.
Most of them, of course, in the North American continent, especially US. So it's an exciting time, I guess, for the aviation industry and for the outer space industry, I would say.
Oh,
So
it's fascinating when I write the book on supersonic and outer space. Oh, the I'm just fascinating by the by those opportunities, and just to think that that what we were dreaming about, the new generation, they can actually do those things that me as a young person I could only dream about, and supersonic and outer space programs are they are continuously developing, and they are literally the next frontier for the human race. And if you can be part of that, um, there is nothing more exhilarating than being part of those types of projects.
fantastic. So, Julian, thank you so much for being on this show and sharing about your new book. Wishing you a lot of success and wishing you a lot of success for your future books also. And keep guiding the young people. I think you're so passionate about this. I love the energy and the passion what you have for guiding new young people. Thank you for your all the passion.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me to talk to you about this book. Mediocrity is Killing Your Superpower. And so, yes, it's a book that appeals to a broader reader. Not it includes Gen Z, but the audience is much, much broader. And so I look forward to the next book. And thank you again so much for hosting me on your show, your podcast. It's truly a distinguished pleasure for me to be invited as a guest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We sincerely wish you could take something from our conversation today and be able to apply it to your life in a positive way. We value your feedback. This can help us improve our future episodes. So share your thoughts to serve you better. If you want us to focus on a topic which you think is of importance, let us know. We will share our expertise in future episodes. So, see you soon with a new topic and help you in your career journey.